The years between 1914 and 1918 were a cultural interruption, both an ending and a new beginning at the same time. New movements and tendencies developed in the hotbed of political circumstances. When they realized that the means they had used were no longer adequate, art began to radicalize. Artists like George Grosz concluded that a horrible world could only be represented as such. The mass killings, the nervous breakdowns, the use of gases, the millions of deaths, and the tens of thousands of completely destroyed beings. The war forced artists and writers, European intellectuals, to rethink the idea of civilization, and from there, very clearly, Dada was born. All its first members were deserters or pacifists from that war. All the deep critical revision was born. In 1916, Dadaism began in Zurich, in the Cabaret Voltaire. An anti-artistic response, a questioning of existence, a pictorial doubt. The war cannot be considered to have been the cause of everything, but it is a fact that the Dada movement was possible because some artists fled to neutral Switzerland as refugees and were able to meet in Zurich, says Schnede. Dada belongs to everyone. It is not really definable. Even Dadaists don't know what Dada is. For Paul Klee, an expert in Dadaism, Dada means that you have to go through a radical form of embarrassment in order to find yourself. And beyond this fear of failure is a new creative freedom, which, in the case of the Dadaists, unleashed fabulous artworks. Dada is distraction. Creative distraction, if you like, but distraction. Maybe that's why it didn't last long as movement. It arises with the intention of destroying all the codes and systems established in the art world. It is an anti-artistic, anti-literary, anti-poetic movement, since it questions the existence of art, literature, and poetry. It is presented as a total ideology, as a way of living, and as an absolute rejection of any previous tradition or scheme. They proclaim the anti-art of protest, of shock, of scandal, of provocation, with the help of ironic satirical means of expression. They are based on the absurd and worthless, and introduce chaos into their scenes, breaking traditional forms. Art thus became something that basically resides in the viewer. However, this message is expanding, and little by little it is reverberating in all artistic fields. Chaos, chance, the imperfect. That's beauty. After all, isn't that real life? All the destruction that occurred during the first period of the 20th century triggered into a new movement of art, in a way of expressing the most radical part of the artistic ego, as the war showed the most violent and inhuman one. It was against everything. It questioned everything. The separation between politics and art doesn't really exist. Politics and the game of power determines the reality of the people. And by that reality, people get inspired. People create. People make questions, make revolution, make peace. From politics to art, from art to politics.